The massive crystal dome of the Grand Assembly Hall glitters with the light of 3 artificial suns. 2,000 alien representatives from across the Milky Way sit in rising tiers that stretch toward the impossibly high ceiling. The air hums with translators and neural interfaces as the most powerful governing body in known space prepares to deliver judgment. In the center of the circular floor stands Admiral Marcus Vega, shoulders squared in his simple blue uniform adorned only with Earth's insignia, a stark contrast to the elaborate regalia of the Council species. Behind him, projected on a massive holographic display, Earth rotates slowly, beautiful and fragile. The evidence is conclusive, announces High Counselor Thrix, a towering insectoid whose chitinous exoskeleton gleams with embedded technology. Humanity has violated Article 7 of the Non-Interference Directive by developing quantum displacement technology. The chamber erupts in outrage. Quantum displacement is forbidden. The ability to phase matter between dimensional planes could destabilize reality itself. The punishment is absolute. Quarantine of the offending species. You misunderstand, Admiral Vega says, his voice somehow cutting through the cacophony without raising in volume. We didn't develop quantum displacement. Silence falls as confusion spreads through the assembly. We perfected it, Vega continues, activating a small device on his wrist. Throughout the chamber, previously invisible human observers suddenly phase into existence, one standing behind each council member's seat. The security drones, supposedly impenetrable to all infiltration, remain dormant. For 3 centuries you've manipulated Earth's development, secretly harvesting our resources and experimenting on our people, Vega states, revealing classified council documents on the central display. You never bothered to truly understand us because you thought us primitive. That was your first mistake. A council member lunges for an emergency control, only to find the entire system unresponsive. Your second mistake, Vega says with dangerous calm, was assuming we'd never find out. The vast chamber, designed to intimidate representatives of thousands of worlds, falls completely silent. Not even the whisper of breathing disturbs the moment as every alien eye focuses on Admiral Vega. High Counselor Thrix's multifaceted eyes narrow. The 6-limbed insectoid rises to full height, towering nearly 10 feet tall. This is impossible. Our security systems were compromised 87 years ago, Vega interrupts. We've been listening, learning, waiting. Behind every council member, the human observers remain motionless, their faces impassive. Each wears the same simple blue uniform as Vega, but with different insignias representing various Earth nations. Counselor Drav, a gelatinous being from the methane seas of Proxima Centauri 4, pulses with agitation. If what you claim is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why not continue your surveillance? Vega's expression hardens. He gestures and the holographic display changes. No longer showing Earth, it now displays hundreds of images, underground facilities, alien scientists surrounding human subjects, dissection tables, brain scans. Operation Harvest, Vega states flatly. Your systematic abduction and experimentation program. 30,000 humans taken over 3 centuries. We've identified all of them by name. The display shifts again, showing names and faces, men, women, and children from different eras of human history. Colonial farmers, Victorian factory workers, modern scientists. All disappeared without explanation, until now. Impossible, whispers Thrix. That information is encrypted beyond quantum encryption? Yes, it was, Vega agrees calmly, until Dr. Maria Licato solved the entanglement paradox. Another achievement you believed beyond our capabilities. A new figure steps forward from behind the Admiral, a woman with silver-streaked hair and calculating eyes. Your encryption method had an elegant flaw, Dr. Licato says. You based it on a universe with 11 dimensions. There are 13. Panic ripples through the assembly. Several council members rise, reaching for communication devices that suddenly spark and die in their hands. Your emergency protocols have been temporarily suspended, Vega explains. This conversation needs to happen without interruption. From the higher tiers, a reptilian counselor named Zars hisses, You speak of crimes against your people while demonstrating technology that threatens the fabric of reality. Quantum displacement is forbidden for a reason. You've proven exactly why humanity must be contained. Vega nods to a human observer standing near Zars. The woman steps forward, her face solemn. "My name is Commander Diana Torres," she says, her voice echoing through the chamber. 56 years ago, your science team abducted my sister from our home in Mexico. She was 9 years old. Torres raises a small device showing the face of a young girl. She was subjected to tests that no sentient being should ever endure. And she was not the only child. The holographic display changes again, now showing a massive underground complex beneath the lunar surface. Thousands of glowing white cylinders fill the screen. "We recovered them all," Vega says quietly. "Every single one." The council chamber erupts. Some members shout accusations, others call for security forces that never arrive. A few sit in stunned silence, processing the implications. High Counselor Thrick slams a clawed appendage against the podium. "Enough!" The chamber gradually quiets. "Admiral Vega, you have made your point through this." Theatrical display. What does Earth want? Vega steps closer to the center of the chamber. Justice, accountability, and a place at this table not as subjects but as equals. Preposterous. Zars hisses. "You are barely a Class 3 civilization. You haven't even colonized your own system." Dr. Lakatos smiles thinly. "Haven't we?" The display changes again, revealing massive structures hidden beneath the surfaces of Mars, Venus, Titan, and Europa. Human outposts thriving in secret. "Everything you've seen of Earth has been carefully curated," Vega explains. The conflicts, the apparent technological limitations, the political divisions, all designed to present the image of a species not ready for galactic politics. "We learned your criteria for intervention and ensured we never triggered them. Until now." A new council member speaks, a tall crystalline being named Lumina. "If what you say is true, Admiral, why not simply continue your deception? Why reveal yourselves when secrecy has served you so well?" Vega's expression darkens. "Because of your harvester ships currently approaching Earth orbit. Because we intercepted your orders to collect 10,000 new human specimens for your expanded research program. Because we've discovered that our sun has been designated for energy harvesting within the next century. A process that would destroy our entire system." Thrix's mandibles twitch nervously. "Those are classified operations of the highest—" "We know," Vega interrupts. "We also know about Operation Suppression. Your systematic elimination of any species that develops technology that might challenge Council supremacy. The Valorians, the Ketari, the Ninth Domain, all erased from history because they discovered truths you wanted hidden. The display now shows worlds burning, civilizations falling, evidence of the Council's ruthless enforcement of its power. We're not here to join your Galactic Council," Vega says finally. "We're here to replace it." Thrix lunges forward, rage contorting his alien features. "Guards defenses. Execute Emergency Protocol Omega." Nothing happens. From the shadows at the edges of the chamber, new figures emerge. Not human, but representatives of dozens of supposedly extinct species. The Valorians with their silver skin. The crystalline Qatari. The energy beings of the Ninth Domain. "We found them," Vega explains. "Hidden in dimensional pockets. Rescued before your extermination squads could finish their work. They've been our allies for decades." Thrix backs away from his podium. "This is insurrection. The entire Council fleet will descend upon Earth within days." Vega looks at his wrist device. About that." Commander Patel, report." A new voice echoes through the chamber, transmitted from somewhere distant. "Operation Castle Wall complete, Admiral. The Council's orbital defenses have been neutralized. Their fleet is currently locked in emergency standby mode. No casualties to report. The chamber dissolves into chaos. Council members shout, plead, threaten, or sit in stunned silence. Vega raises his hand and the human observers activate their wrist devices. The shouting stops as council members find themselves unable to speak, their vocal capabilities temporarily suspended by targeted quantum fields. "Here's what happens next," Vega says into the silence. "A new governing body will be formed. All species, all of them, will have representation. The systematic exploitation of developing worlds will end. Those responsible for the abduction and torture of humans and other species will face justice." He looks around the chamber, meeting the eyes of various council members. "Some of you were ignorant of these crimes. Some participated. Our intelligence is thorough. We know exactly who did what." Vega nods to Dr. Lakatos, who activates her own device. The paralysis affecting the council members ends, allowing speech to resume. You have one standard rotation to consider your position, Vega announces. Those who cooperate with the transition will face no personal consequences. Those who resist. He lets the implication hang in the air. As the Admiral turns to leave, Counselor Lumina calls out, "Why not simply destroy us? With your technology you clearly could." Vega pauses. "Because then we'd be no Betty." The Council emergency broadcast cuts through all communication channels across 50,000 worlds. High Counselor Thrix's voice quavers slightly, an unprecedented display of emotion for the usually stoic insectoid. Citizens of the Galactic Alliance remain calm. Reports of Council overthrow are greatly exaggerated. A diplomatic incident involving the Sol system has been contained. All interstellar traffic will resume shortly. The feed suddenly distorts. Thrix's mandibles click in alarm as his image fragments, replaced by a human woman with dark skin and penetrating eyes. She wears a simple white uniform with an unfamiliar insignia. "I am Dr. Eliana Torres, Chief of Human Intelligence. What you just heard was a lie." Her voice is calm, measured. For 30,000 years, the Council has maintained power through secrecy and suppression. Today, that ends. Behind her, a wall of screens shows simultaneous uprisings on dozens of worlds. Council security forces retreating. Orbital defense platforms going dark. The Council told you humans were primitive savages, barely able to reach our own moon. That was by design. The screens now display Council ships harvesting resources from Earth's oceans, abducting humans from remote areas. While they studied us, we studied them. While they underestimated us, we prepared. And now, we're offering every subjugated species in this galaxy a choice. Dr. Torres steps aside, revealing a holographic map of the galaxy with thousands of points of light pulsing in unison. Project Prometheus begins now. In the shadowed situation room beneath Mount Kilimanjaro, Dr. Eliana Torres removes her neural interface crown and exhales slowly. Around her, 24 human operators monitor holographic displays showing real-time feeds from across the galaxy. "Broadcast complete, Doctor," reports Communications Director Farouk. "We've reached 96% of inhabited systems." Torres nods, eyes fixed on the central display where thousands of lights flicker to life, each representing a sleeper agent activated. "After years of careful infiltration, the Council will respond with military force," says General Ishikawa, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical projections. Admiral Vega's demonstration at the assembly hall was impressive, but their fleet outnumbers ours 1,000 to 1. Torres smiles faintly. "Their ships outnumber ours, General, but they're about to discover that numbers mean little when your crews no longer take your orders." A new alert flashes on the tactical display. Commander Lee steps forward, her expression grim. "Council Military Command has ordered full mobilization. Fleet Admiral Drock Vale is assembling an armada at Centauri Station." As expected, Torres replies. "Activate Phase 2. Lee hesitates. "Doctor, Phase 2 involves activating all embedded insurgents simultaneously. Many won't survive the initial." "They knew the risks when they volunteered, Commander." Torres interrupts, her voice softening. "Each has been in place for years, waiting for this moment. We can't dishonor their commitment by hesitating now." Lee nods sharply and enters the activation code. Across 1,000 worlds, humans who have lived as sleeper agents, disguised through genetic modification and neural implants to pass as various alien species, receive the signal. Technicians, bureaucrats, domestic servants, and maintenance workers who have spent years gaining access and trust now move in perfect synchronization. In the Council chamber on Proxima Centauri 2, an aide quietly adjusts the environmental controls, flooding the room with an odorless compound that temporarily disrupts the telepathic abilities of the Tellurian Dominion, the Council's psychic enforcers. At the massive shipyards orbiting Rigel, maintenance workers simultaneously upload modified protocols to the navigation systems of 50 dreadnoughts and, on 100 resource worlds, planets, whose indigenous populations labor to extract valuable minerals. For the Council elite, security networks suddenly fail, allowing local resistance groups to seize control of strategic facilities. Back in the Situation Room, Torres watches as reports flood in. "Status of Project Prometheus?" she asks. A tall man with a silver streak in his dark hair steps forward. "Dr. Torres, Prometheus packages have been delivered to 87% of targeted worlds. Distribution is proceeding faster than projected. This is Dr. Julian Ray, architect of humanity's most audacious technological gift to the galaxy, quantum displacement, generators small enough to be smuggled past council sensors but powerful enough to change the balance of power forever. The hegemony of Sirius is already using the technology to bypass council blockades, Ray reports, and the Pholox Rebellion has successfully relocated 3 endangered populations beyond council reach. Torres nods with satisfaction. For a century, humanity has secretly developed and refined technologies the council had forbidden. Not just quantum displacement, but advanced AI, consciousness transfer, dimensional folding, and more. How these technologies were being distributed to carefully vetted resistance movements across the galaxy. An urgent alert sounds. Director Farouk's expression turns grave. Doctor, we have a problem. Council forces have discovered our outpost on Europa. The display shifts to show a massive council warship approaching the icy moon of Jupiter. Europa had been humanity's first off-world colony, established in secret nearly 50 years ago, now home to over 10,000 civilians. It was also the base for Operation Artemis, the terraforming initiative that was transforming supposedly dead worlds throughout council space. They're deploying ground forces, Commander Lee reports. Civilian evacuations are underway, but we can't get everyone out in time. Torres's expression hardens. Activate Europa's defense grid. And contact Captain Rivera. Tell him to bring the Horizon into position. General Ishikawa looks alarmed. The Horizon is our most advanced vessel, but it's still just one ship against a council dreadnought. Even with our technological edge, the Horizon isn't going to engage them directly, Torres interrupts. Captain Rivera knows what to do. As council dropships enter Europa's thin atmosphere, surface installations that had appeared to be simple research stations transform. Ice melts away, revealing advanced weapon emplacements. The attacking forces find themselves caught in precisely calculated crossfire. Meanwhile, a sleek vessel with no visible propulsion system materializes directly behind the council dreadnought. The Horizon, humanity's first true-dimensional warship, doesn't fire a single shot. Instead, it generates a quantum field that engulfs the massive council vessel. In the Situation Room, all eyes fix on the tactical display. For a moment, both ships shimmer with strange energy. Then the council dreadnought simply vanishes. What just happened? Asked Ishikawa, his usual composure shaken. Did they destroy it? No, Torres explains. The Horizon displaced it into a parallel dimensional pocket. The ship and its crew are unharmed, but effectively removed from our reality. They'll remain there until we choose to bring them back. A stunned silence fills the room. The implications are staggering. Humanity could now simply remove enemy forces from the battlefield without destroying them. This is why the Council feared quantum displacement, Torres says quietly. Not because it destabilizes reality, but because it renders their military advantage meaningless. A new alert sounds, different from the others. Director Farouk looks up in surprise. Doctor, we're receiving a direct communication request. From Fleet Admiral Drockvale himself. Torres straightens her uniform. Put him through. The central display shifts to show a massive figure in ornate military armor. Admiral Drockvale is a Zoraxian, a species known for their intimidating physical presence and warrior culture. His gray, stone-like skin is carved with rank insignias and 4 yellow eyes glare from beneath a heavy brow. Dr. Torres, he rumbles, his voice like grinding boulders. I see the reputation of human duplicity is well earned. Torres meets his gaze unflinchingly. We prefer to call it strategic patience, Admiral Vale. Your council spent centuries studying us as specimens. We simply returned the favor. Val's expression remains impassive. You've made your demonstration. Impressive technology, certainly. But do not mistake a few tactical successes for strategic victory. The Council controls this galaxy through more than just military might. We're well aware, Torres replies. That's why we've spent decades mapping your economic systems, communication networks, and political alliances. Did you think our agents were only placed in military installations? For the first time, uncertainty flickers across Val's face. Behind him, an aide whispers something urgently. Perhaps, Val concedes, we should discuss terms. A negotiated settlement between... We're not interested in negotiations with the current council leadership, Torres interrupts. Your terms are simple. Stand down your forces, release control of all subjugated worlds, and prepare to face a tribunal for crimes against sentient beings. Val's face contorts with rage. You dare dictate terms to me? The combined might of the Council fleet will reduce your pathetic world to ash. Torres smiles thinly. I suggest you check your fleet status, Admiral. The Admiral looks away briefly, consulting another display off-screen. His expression shifts from confidence to confusion, then to dawning horror. Across Council space, ship captains are discovering that their navigational systems no longer respond to commands. Propulsion systems power down, weapons remain locked, and on every command deck, previously loyal officers, many secretly human agents or members of oppressed species who have joined. Fleet Admiral Drak Val stands on the command bridge of the Inexorable, his flagship and the most powerful warship ever constructed by the Council. Around him, officers from a dozen different species work at their stations, preparing for the assault that will end the human rebellion once and for all. All vessels report ready. Admiral, announces his second-in-command Commander Azira. The slender, blue-skinned Novan's voice betrays no emotion, but her compound eyes constantly shift, a sign of anxiety in her species. Commence final approach, Val orders. Deploy an attack formation Delta. Target Earth's orbital defenses first, then major population centers. The main display shows their target, the Sol system, home of the troublesome humans. After weeks of careful planning and consolidation of loyal forces, Val has assembled an armada of 500 warships. Even with their impressive technology, the humans cannot possibly withstand such overwhelming force. Alert from forward scouts, Admiral, reports the sensor officer. Earth appears undefended. Val's stone-like features harden with suspicion. Explain. No defensive fleet. No orbital platforms. No energy signatures indicating weapon systems. The planet appears exactly as our records showed before the rebellion, a primitive world with minimal space presence. Val studies the sensor data personally. This makes no sense. After revealing their advanced technology, why would they suddenly appear vulnerable? It's a trap, Commander Azira suggests quietly. Obviously, Val agrees. But what kind? He ponders for a moment, then decides. Proceed with caution. Full shields. Deploy sensor drones ahead of the main fleet. As the Armada approaches Earth orbit, tension on the bridge increases. Everyone expects some kind of ambush, perhaps quantum displacement technology that will remove their ships from reality. Or some new weapon not yet revealed, but nothing happens. We're in weapons range. Admiral, announces the tactical officer, awaiting your command to fire. Val hesitates, his instincts screaming that something is wrong. Then he notices a small, peculiar reading on a secondary display. What is that energy signature coming from Earth's moon? The lunar surface trembles. Dust that has lain undisturbed for millions of years suddenly rises in clouds as massive sections of the cratered terrain begin to shift. What appears to be natural landscape splits along geometrically perfect lines, revealing the truth beneath the deception. The moon is not merely a natural satellite. It is something far more ancient and terrifying. On the Inexorable's bridge, alarms blare as sensors detect enormous energy readings. Impossible, whispers the sensor officer. The energy output is... I've never seen anything like it. Val watches in stunned silence as the lunar surface continues to transform. Massive structures rise from beneath the regolith. Weapon emplacements, energy collectors, propulsion systems that have lain dormant for untold ages. Full retreat. Val orders, his voice cutting through the shocked silence on the bridge. All ships, emergency withdrawal. Maximum speed! But it's too late. A pulse of energy erupts from the transformed moon, washing over the Council fleet. Ship after ship suddenly loses power. Weapons and propulsion systems going dark. The vessels drift helplessly in space, caught in Earth's gravity well. What just happened? Val demands, rage and fear battling in his voice. Report! It appears to be some kind of targeted electromagnetic pulse, Commander Azira explains, studying the rapidly declining systems report. Specifically calibrated to affect Council technology. Our primary and secondary systems are offline. Emergency power only. A communication request flashes on the main screen, one of the few systems still functioning. Val nods grimly and the face of General Thomas Reyes appears. The human general is older than most they've encountered, perhaps in his 70s. With silver hair and a face weathered by decades of military service, his expression is not triumphant but solemn. Admiral Val, Reyes begins. Your fleet has been neutralized without casualties. Please instruct your crews not to attempt any heroic measures. The effect is temporary, but any effort to force a restart will cause permanent damage to your systems. Val's four eyes narrow with fury. What have you done? What is that thing? Reyes allows himself a small smile. That thing is Lunar Defense Station Alpha, or as we call it, the Sentinel. We didn't build it, Admiral. We found it. Val's expression shifts from anger to confusion. Found it? Impossible. Our surveys of your system showed no advanced technology. Because it was dormant, Reyes explains. The Sentinel was built millions of years ago by a species that predates even the Council, the architects you called them in your classified archives. They left these defensive platforms throughout the galaxy before they transcended. The Admiral's stone-like skin pales slightly. The architects were little more than legend, even in the Council's most secret historical records. A species so advanced they eventually evolved beyond physical form. We discovered the Sentinel 60 years ago during our first lunar expeditions, Reyes continues. It took us decades to understand even a fraction of its capabilities. When we realized what we had found, we kept it hidden, disguising our work as simple research outposts. You expect me to believe humans just happened to find ancient technology beyond even the Council's understanding? Val scoffs. We didn't just happen to find it, Reyes corrects. The Sentinel found us. Or more precisely, it recognized us. Before Val can respond, his tactical officer interrupts. Admiral, we're detecting similar energy signatures activating throughout Council space. Reports coming in from multiple sectors. Defense platforms like this one are appearing in systems that were thought to be uninhabited or primitive. Reyes nods. The Sentinels were designed to protect developing species from exactly the kind of exploitation the Council has practiced for millennia. They remained dormant until a protected species achieved a certain level of development. Humanity reached that threshold when we landed on our moon and encountered the Sentinel directly. Why reveal this now? Val demands. If you've had this technology for decades, why maintain the pretense of being primitive? Because we needed time, Reyes explains patiently. Time to understand the technology. Time to locate other Sentinels. Time to build our network of allies among species the Council has oppressed. Everything you've seen, our apparent vulnerability, our sudden technological leap, even our initial confrontation at the Council chambers, was carefully choreographed to lead to this moment. A new alarm sounds on the Inexorable's bridge. The sensor officer's voice shakes as he reports. Admiral, we're detecting massive spatial distortions in the Proxima, Sirius, and Rigel systems. What kind of distortions? Val demands. Sir, those systems are disappearing. Reyes's expression remains calm. Not disappearing, Admiral. Being relocated. 3 of your core worlds, each with a population of billions, are being moved to a safe dimensional pocket, while the transition of power takes place. You're taking entire star systems hostage? Val's voice rises in outrage. No, we're protecting them from you. Reyes's tone hardens. We've seen the Council's contingency protocols, Admiral. The Omega Directive authorizes the destruction of your own core worlds rather than allowing them to fall into hostile control. We're simply ensuring you can't implement those protocols. Val's silence confirms the accusation. The Omega Directive was the Council's most closely guarded secret, a last resort, measure that would sacrifice billions to maintain the ruling elite's power. Your fleet will remain disabled for 24 hours, Reyes continues. By then the transition will be complete. The Council as you know it will no longer exist. A new galactic alliance will take its place, one where all species have equal representation and protection. And if we refuse to accept this, transition? Val asks, his voice low and dangerous. Reyes sighs. That would be unfortunate, but ultimately futile. The Sentinels have already begun recalibrating the quantum structure of this region of space. The physical laws that your weapons and defenses rely upon are being subtly altered. Your technology will simply cease to function as designed. Before Val can respond, a new alert sounds. Commander Azira checks her display and turns to the Admiral, her compound eyes wide with alarm. Sir, we're receiving reports of revolts on multiple Council worlds. Security forces are standing down or joining the rebels, and there are reports that Council members are accusing each other of collusion with the humans. That's not our doing, Reyes clarifies. That's simply what happens when centuries of oppression and deception are suddenly exposed. Your council isn't falling because of our attack, Admiral. It's collapsing under the weight of its own corruption. A message from Earth appears on Reyes's screen. He reads it and nods. Admiral, our conversation will need to end shortly. But before it does, there's someone else who wishes to speak with you. Reyes's image is replaced by that of Dr. Eliana Torres. She's no longer in the command center beneath Mount Kilimanjaro, but stands in what appears to be a massive, ancient chamber filled with technology beyond even the Council's understanding. Admiral Vale, she greets him. By now you understand that humanity has been several steps ahead of the Council from the beginning. But what you don't yet realize is why. Torres gestures, and the view widens to reveal a wall covered in symbols that even Val, with his extensive knowledge of galactic law, the ancient amphitheater on Nexus Prime, once the exclusive meeting place of the highest-ranking council officials, now hosts representatives from over 500 species. Some are familiar faces in galactic politics, others haven't been seen in public forums for millennia, and a few were believed extinct until weeks ago. Captain Amara Jackson stands at the podium, her dark skin contrasting with the white dress uniform that marks her as both a military officer and a diplomat. Unlike most humans in the public eye lately, she isn't a recent revelation. She's been a known figure in galactic diplomatic circles for decades, operating openly as Earth's representative while concealing her species' true capabilities. Distinguished representatives, she begins, her voice carrying through the vast space without technological assistance, a subtle reminder of humanity's hidden abilities. For 30 years I have walked among you as an ambassador of what you believed was a primitive, inconsequential world. Many of you dismissed me, some patronized me, a few saw potential in my species. She pauses, scanning the diverse assembly. What none of you realized was that my true mission was not to represent humanity to the galaxy, but to build the foundations for what we gather to create. Today, the first truly equal alliance of sentient beings in our shared history. The amphitheater erupts in a cacophony of sounds, the clicking of insectoid mandibles, the harmonic humming of crystalline beings, the deep rumbling of silicon-based life forms. Not applause exactly, but a universal expression of approval. Jackson raises her hand and a holographic display appears above the central stage, showing a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of points of light pulse in synchronization. The awakened sentinels that humanity has activated throughout Council space. The old Council told you these ancient constructs were myths or natural phenomena, she continues. They hid the truth because these sentinels were created for one purpose, to ensure that no single species could ever dominate the galaxy through force or deception. Today they stand active once more, not as humanity's weapons, but as the guardians of our shared future. From the upper tier, a reptilian delegate rises, Fleet Admiral Vale, now representing what remains of the Council loyalists. His once ornate armor is now simple and unadorned. Captain Jackson, he rumbles, your species has orchestrated the most comprehensive overthrow of established order in galactic history, yet you speak of equality and cooperation. Why should any of us believe humans won't simply replace the Council as the galaxy's new masters? Jackson smiles. A fair question, Admiral, and one I've spent 3 decades preparing to answer. Captain Amara Jackson steps away from the podium, moving to the center of the circular stage where she can address the vast amphitheater more directly. The space was designed to intimidate. Lower-ranking species traditionally sat in the highest, most distant tiers, but Jackson's presence somehow reshapes the psychological dynamics of the room. When I first arrived in Council space 30 years ago, she begins, I traveled not as a captain or an ambassador, but as a simple xenoanthropologist. My mission was to understand the diverse species of our galaxy, not through official reports or diplomatic niceties, but by living among them. The holographic display above her shifts, showing images of a much younger Jackson in various environments, sharing a meal with crystalline Ixari, learning combat techniques from the warrior Kresh, studying ancient texts with the scholarly Novan archivists. What I discovered was both inspiring and heartbreaking, she continues. Every species in this galaxy has unique gifts, perspectives, and capabilities. Yet the Council system deliberately prevented most of you from reaching your full potential. From the middle tier, a luminous being that appears made of pure energy rises. This is Ambassador Zeth of the Vexadron, a species believed extinct for over 10,000 years. The human speaks truth. Szeth's melodious voice resonates through the chamber. Our kind was not destroyed by natural disaster as Council history claims. We were targeted for extinction because our natural ability to detect falsehood threatened Council control. Only through dimensional displacement, technology shared by our human allies, did a remnant of our civilization survive. Murmurs spread through the assembly. The Vexedron were legendary for their absolute commitment to truth. If they vouched for humanity's intentions, it carried enormous weight. Jackson nods respectfully to Szeth. The Vexedron are just one of many species the Council attempted to erase from history. Others were subjected to technological suppression, resource exploitation, or cultural manipulation, all to maintain a system that benefited a small elite at the expense of the many. Fleet Admiral Vale rises again. These accusations are not new, Captain. But they don't answer my question. How do we know humans won't become the very thing they claim to oppose? A fair point, Jackson concedes, which is why we aren't asking you to trust our words but our actions. She gestures and the holographic display changes again, now showing a complex legal document. This is the Alliance Charter. Unlike the Council Compact, which preserved hierarchy and privilege, the Charter establishes a governing system with distributed power and multiple safeguards against domination by any single species or coalition. The details of the Charter appear in sequence: a representative assembly with proportional voting, an independent judiciary with members from diverse species, and most significantly, a technological oversight committee with authority to ensure advanced capabilities are shared rather than hoarded. But the true answer to your question, Admiral, lies not in documents but in history, humanity's history, Jackson continues. Unlike the Council species who carefully erased their violent pasts from official records, we humans remember our mistakes. We've experienced the catastrophic consequences of imperialism, xenophobia, and unchecked power. We carry those lessons in our cultural memory as warnings. She activates a personal device, and a new hologram appears Earth through the ages, showing the rise and fall of empires, world wars, environmental crises, and eventually the painful birth of a unified human civilization. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times before we learned that true strength comes from cooperation, not domination. That diversity of perspective leads to greater innovation than conformity. That lasting power comes not from controlling others, but from earning their willing collaboration. A new delegate rises, a massive, gelatinous being representing the Morphids, a species known for their remarkable adaptability and philosophical insight. Captain Jackson? The Morphid's translated voice resonates. Your words are compelling, but they still represent only one species' perspective. How will this alliance ensure that the unique needs and viewpoints of all sentient beings are truly represented? Jackson smiles. An excellent question that brings me to the most important aspect of the new alliance. She gestures, and an entirely new set of beings enters the amphitheater. Representatives, who appear radically different from the assembled delegates. These are the custodians, beings, who have been kept hidden in the deepest levels of Council space for millennia. They were captured and preserved not as citizens or even as specimens, but as living libraries. A shocked silence falls over the assembly as the implications become clear. The Council had maintained its dominance not just through military force or economic control, but by systematically harvesting and sequestering the knowledge of countless civilizations. When we infiltrated the Council's most secure archives, Jackson explains, we discovered thousands of sentient beings held in stasis, the last survivors of species whose civilizations were destroyed, but whose knowledge was too valuable to lose. The Council used their wisdom while denying their freedom. One of the custodians steps forward, a small avian being with iridescent feathers and eyes that reflect the wisdom of ages. I am Kalathra, last of the Luminar. My civilization fell 12,000 years ago, when we refused to surrender our understanding of quantum harmonics to the early Council. I have been conscious but imprisoned since that day. My mind regularly harvested for insights while my warnings were ignored. The assembly erupts in sounds of shock and outrage. Even Admiral Vale appears disturbed. This atrocity was unknown to all but the highest echelons of Council leadership. The liberation of the custodians was our highest priority. Jackson continues when order is restored. not just as a moral imperative, but because their perspective is essential to building a truly just galactic order. They have witnessed the rise and fall of countless civilizations, the repeating patterns of domination and resistance. Their wisdom will help guide the Alliance away from the Council's mistakes. Calithra speaks again, her translator conveying the measured tones of a being who has contemplated justice for millennia. We custodians have agreed to serve the Alliance not as captives or tools, but as advisors. We bring not just knowledge of technologies long forgotten, but understanding of why great civilizations fall. Often that fall begins when protection becomes control. When fear overcomes wisdom, when the few decide they know what is best for the many. She turns her penetrating gaze toward Admiral Val. The Council began with noble intentions, Admiral. Its founders truly believed they were preserving galactic stability. But power without accountability inevitably corrupts. The humans understand the Citadel, the Council's secret headquarters hidden within the accretion disk of the supermassive black hole at the galactic core, was designed to be impenetrable. Shielded by gravitational distortions and defended by automated weapons platforms drawing power directly from the black hole itself, it had remained undiscovered for 30,000 years. Until today. Admiral Marcus Vega stands on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first true warship. Around him, a fleet of 500 vessels from 30 different species holds position just beyond the Citadel's defensive perimeter. The combined force represents not human domination, but a coalition united by a common purpose, to confront the architects of galactic oppression in their final stronghold. Final approach vector locked in, reports Commander Orla Chen, the ship's tactical officer, dimensional shields at maximum. The coalition fleet is in formation and awaiting your order. Vega studies the Citadel on the main display. Unlike the Baroque grandeur of the Council's public buildings, this structure is brutally functional, a massive fortress of dark metal and energy fields, suspended in the swirling chaos of the black hole's accretion disk. Open a channel to the Citadel, Vega orders. All frequencies. The communications officer works her console. Channel open, Admiral. Vega straightens, his expression resolute. This is Admiral Marcus Vega of the Galactic Alliance. I address the High Council directly. Your defensive systems cannot prevail against our combined fleet. Your deceptions have been exposed to the galaxy. Surrender the Citadel and face justice for your crimes. Silence stretches for several seconds. Then a voice responds, cold, arrogant, and ancient. This is High Sovereign Zorlax, true ruler of the Galactic Order. Your rebellion is a temporary aberration in the cosmic design. The Council has guided civilization for 30 millennia. We will endure long after your species has returned to dust. Commander Chen looks up from her tactical display, eyes wide with alarm. Admiral, energy readings from the Citadel are spiking. They're activating something massive. Vega's expression hardens. So be it, the final confrontation begins now. All ships engage according to plan. Phase 1 commences immediately. The space around the Citadel erupts with energy as both sides unleash their full technological might. The Council's automated defense platforms, drawing power directly from the black hole, fire beams of concentrated exotic particles capable of shredding conventional matter. But the Alliance fleet doesn't rely on conventional defenses. Human ships phase in and out of normal space-time, becoming momentarily intangible as enemy fire passes harmlessly through them. Vessels from the crystalline Qatari race absorb energy attacks and redirect them back at their sources. The massive living ships of the Morphids change their molecular structure to become resistant to whatever weapon is deployed against them. On the Defiance's bridge, Admiral Vega coordinates the assault with calm precision. Status of Phase 1? He asks. Perimeter defenses are being systematically neutralized, Commander Chen reports. Qatari crystal ships have disabled 37% of the automated platforms. Morphid vessels are absorbing fire from the main cannons. And our special operations teams? In position, Admiral. Ready for Phase 2 on your command. Vega nods. Begin Phase 2. Throughout the battle, specialized vessels have been moving into precise positions around the Citadel, seemingly random until viewed as a complete pattern. Now these ships activate unique devices, dimensional resonators developed by combining human quantum theory with architect technology from the Sentinels. The resonators create a complex field that surrounds the Citadel. Space itself seems to warp and ripple as the field strengthens. Inside the Citadel, alarms blare as systems begin to fail. High Sovereign Zorlax, a being so ancient that even the oldest council records don't mention his origin, rises from his command throne. Unlike the insectoid Thrix or the stone-like Veil, Zorlax appears almost energy-based, his form contained within an elaborate exoskeleton that pulses with internal light. What is happening? He demands of his scientific advisors. Why are our defenses failing? The chief scientist, a Novan who has served the council for centuries, studies her instruments with growing horror. Sovereign, they're altering the dimensional constants in localized space. Our technology relies on specific quantum interactions that are becoming impossible. Impossible? Zorlax's voice rises. Nothing is impossible. Activate the Omega Protocol. Destroy them all. The Novan scientist hesitates. Sovereign, the Omega Protocol would destabilize the black hole itself. The resulting explosion would destroy not just the enemy fleet, but a significant portion of the galactic core. Trillions would die. Then trillions will die, Zorlax responds coldly. The council must endure, regardless of the cost. The scientist's hands move reluctantly toward the activation sequence. But before she can complete it, the air in the command center shimmers. Suddenly, human soldiers materialize throughout the room, having bypassed all physical barriers through quantum displacement. At their head stands Dr. Eliana Torres, no longer in the white uniform of a scientist but the battle armor of an elite operative. That will be quite enough, Sovereign Zorlax, she says, her weapon trained directly on the ancient being. Zorlax's exoskeleton flares with energy. You dare invade my sanctum? Who are you to challenge me? I guided civilizations when your ancestors were still huddling in caves. I am Dr. Eliana Torres, Chief of Human Intelligence, she replies calmly. And you're wrong about our ancestors. They weren't in caves when you rose to power. They were already building starfaring civilizations that your early council systematically destroyed. She gestures. And more figures materialize, not human soldiers this time, but the liberated custodians. Among them stands Kalathra, the ancient avian being who has witnessed 30,000 years of council rule. Hello, Zorlax, Kalathra says softly. It has been a long time since you imprisoned me and exterminated my people. For the first time, uncertainty flickers across Zorlax's energy form. The Luminar were a threat to galactic stability. Your technology would have allowed other species to evolve beyond your control, Kalathra interrupts, just as humans have done. That was always your fear, that someday someone would arise who could challenge your absolute authority. A communication alert sounds. Admiral Vega's face appears on the main display. Dr. Torres' status report? We've secured the command center, Admiral, Torres reports. Sovereign Zorlax was about to activate the Omega Protocol. Vega's expression darkens. So he was willing to destabilize the galactic core rather than surrender. That confirms our worst suspicions. Admiral, the Novan scientist interrupts, stepping forward cautiously. I am Chief Scientist Solara. There is something you should know. The Citadel contains facilities you haven't discovered yet. What kind of facilities? Torres asks sharply. Solara glances nervously at Zorlax, then back to Torres. The Sovereign has been conducting experiments on beings from outside our galaxy, entities captured during extra-dimensional incursions. They're held in stasis in the lower levels. Zorlax lunges towards Solara, his exoskeleton pulsing with deadly energy. But Torres is faster. A precision shot from her weapon disrupts the energy field containing his form, temporarily paralyzing him. Show us these facilities, Torres orders Solara, now. Guided by the scientist, Torres leads a team deeper into the Citadel while other Alliance forces secure the remaining levels. What they discover defies comprehension. Vast chambers filled with stasis pods containing beings unlike any known in the galaxy. Some appear to be composed of pure mathematics given form. Others exist partially in dimensions humans can't perceive, their true nature visible only through specialized equipment. What are these creatures? Torres asks, struggling to make sense of what she's seeing. The Council classified them as outsiders, Solara explains. They began appearing near dimensional weak points 30,000 years ago, around the same time the architects transcended. The early Council captured them for study, hoping to harness their unique abilities. Zorlax has been experimenting on them personally for millennia. One of the custodians accompanying Torres, A silicon-based being named Vorth approaches a stasis field containing what appears to be a crystalline entity of impossible geometry. These are not invaders, Vorth says with certainty. They are explorers. Messengers, perhaps. Messengers from whom? Torres asks. From the architects, Vorth replies. Or rather from what the architects became after they transcended physical form. The revelation sends shockwaves through the team. If these entities are connected to the architects, the legendary precursors whose technology humanity had inherited, their imprisonment represents not just a crime against sentient beings, but a severing of contact with the galaxy's greatest civilization. Torres contacts Admiral Vega immediately. Admiral, the situation here is more complex than we anticipated. We've discovered prisoners that may be emissaries from the architects. The Council has been holding them for 30,000 years. Vega's expression reveals the weight of this discovery. This changes everything, Doctor. The custodians claim the Council rose to power shortly after the architects' transcendence. Now we know why. They imprisoned the architects' messengers to prevent any civilization from re-establishing contact.